Hey everybody, and welcome to part 7 of Zion Finances 101. In this installment we're looking at the internship program and how that has historically been funded at Zion Evangelical Lutheran Church. Or I should say how we are most recently funding that program. Now the internship, just for general purposes, does have some costs to it. So if you're not familiar with the internship program or even how one trains to become a pastor in the Lutheran Church, brief background on that. Once a person has a bachelor's degree from college, then the next step is being part of going to school in terms of a seminary. And it's a little bit more complicated than that because there's some procedures that have to be gone through and whatnot, and the sense of whether a person is really called, and we call it the candidacy process, and it takes some time, and there are lots of other people beyond the local church that are involved with it, and etc., etc. But assuming one has made it through that process, then seminary is a huge part of the formation of leaders in the church. And for years, seminary involved 2 years of academic study at the seminary itself, and we have 8 seminaries in the LCA. The closest is at Trinity Lutheran Seminary in Columbus, Ohio. And then a 3rd year that is normally an internship year, and then come back for a 4th year of seminary. Now later on I want to tell you how that is shifting in the next couple of years, but that has been the model that has really been practiced for years upon years upon years here in the ELCA, here and even the Lutheran Church that predated the ELCA. All right, so what does it cost to have an intern? Well, you know, it varies a little bit, but basically an intern, there's a cost of tuition that the congregation pays, which is about $1,000 a year, or $1,100 or so, something like that. We give a modest stipend so that the intern has something to live on while here, and that is set by the seminary currently, as of this videotaping, at $1,100 a year. And then we provide housing for the intern, so an apartment, which I believe right now runs about $575, and then you've got utilities on top of that for another $100 or so. There's a little money provided for travel in terms of getting to the internship site. So we actually, every congregation puts in $500 for that, and some interns need to travel a long way to their internship site, and others don't have to travel very far at all. But that pool the seminary manages and divvies out to the interns. And then there are incidental expenses for local mileage for church-related work, participation in various conferences, and the like. We pay health insurance for the intern as well. All told, it can vary a little bit, but you're basically looking between $27,000 and $30,000 right now to host an intern. Okay, so we've got that amount of money to cover, and the question is, when we're in an internship program, how is that covered at Zion? Well, the way we've done it is we have utilized thus far these foundation disbursements. So that foundation that was covered in another video that thus far has ranged between $14,000 and $22,000 a year that we receive in January. Thus far, the congregation has designated that to assist with the internship program. Now, if you're quick with your math, you'll remember that $14,000 is not as much as $27,000 or $30,000, okay? And even when it was $22,000, that's still not enough to cover the entire cost of the internship program. So what we've done is we have phased this into the congregation budget from the general fund, so that the general fund provides part of the money for the internship and the foundation provides the rest. And so that looks very simple. We have phased this in over years, and a couple of years we'd finally gotten up to what we wanted to be the final amount for the general fund, which was $12,500 a year, with the rest coming from the foundation. Well, a couple of things have happened, and then there's something that makes it more complicated as well. Interns come to us in July or August, usually August. But our budget at Zion works on a calendar year. So if an intern's coming in August, but the calendar year for budget purposes, it goes January to December, you can see that doesn't link up as well as we might like. So it's just the nature of the beast. It's how it's been for years, and we all just make the best of it, as do other congregations throughout the country. But basically, we take foundation money and we put that in a designated pot for the intern, and then we also use the congregation's general fund to help pay expenses as well, and that's really how that is set up to cover it. Now, I should say what has made things a little bit complicated is in the more recent year, we've had, and this is just in the most recent year, we haven't had sufficient cash, even though it was budgeted, to support the intern out of the general fund. That happened just this particular year, and quite frankly and honestly, the biggest reason for that is we have had several longtime faithful supporters of Zion, a little bit less than a handful, that all moved out of the area within a relatively short period of time. So the resources that they normally were providing to Zion, they are now blessing other congregations with. So we're not talking about disgruntlement or anything of the like with the folks that I am referring to. We're talking about some wonderful people that are now blessing some other wonderful congregations. And we had their blessing here for many years, and they still love us dearly. I know that for a fact. But from a resource standpoint, that has taken a hit on our congregation finances this particular year. And we've been getting new people in on a regular basis, but it does take a while to get up to those levels of folks that have been participating for a long time in the ministry of a church in terms of their support. So we've been using more of the foundation money than we anticipated, covering the internship expenses. So you've seen how it's historically been handled, and you've seen what we're dealing with right now. And this particular video is a somewhat timely one, meaning it has to deal with this particular point in time, so we may not keep it up for forever. But with a congregation meeting coming up as of the filming of this video, council thought about this, and we have decided for right now to recommend that we still designate the foundation money from this coming January for the internship program, but that we not actually apply for an intern in the 2015-2016 year, with the hope that we can build up some more money there, find out how the general fund functions, and then next year reevaluate and see whether perhaps we can enter into the internship program again. By the way, I should point out that even though we apply for an intern, that's not always a guarantee that we'll have one. There have been 2 years when there have not been enough interns to go around, and we didn't even have an intern due to lack of intern availability, even though we were willing and able at the time to fund that program. So you never know how that's going to work. And then one final caveat on this, and this is brand new. He's a seminary that has always had 2 years of schooling, 1 year of internship, and a final year of schooling, has just decided within this past year to change that program and move to a model of 2 years of seminary followed by a 2-year internship. Now that's a big change. It theoretically has the potential to be much better for the interns in terms of their training, and it also has the potential of being much better for congregations because it allows a congregation to not just spend the first year training an intern, but get a second year where the intern can really, having been there a year, contribute to the life and ministry of the congregation, maybe in a fuller way than he or she may have been able to do so before. It also has the potential of lowering seminary debt for interns because they don't have a third year of academics that they're funding or paying for at the seminary. So there's a lot of good things about it. But from the local congregation standpoint, what's brand new is now instead of committing to 1 year of supporting an intern at $27,000 to $30,000 a year, a congregation a year from now, there's one more year of 1 year internships. Beyond that, it'll go to 2. Then a congregation has to determine, okay, are we able to have the resources to support this program for 2 years, not just 1 at a time? So those are some questions that we're going to have to face in years to come. The internship program for us at Zion, it's something we really do well. It's something that we know the congregation deeply values. It's something that, quite honestly, I am uniquely gifted for as a supervisor. I'm blessed, or so far I've been blessed to, I think, make healthy contributions that way, or at least I know the I know I've regularly received feedback that's a gift that I seem to have, so I like being able to share that. We've been blessed with interns that have really jumped into the ministry of Zion, have made a difference in people's lives, have learned a lot. We're good at teaching as a church, but they're good at learning too, and they really contribute a lot to the life of our congregation, and they bring another sense of energy, and it's a full-time staff person as well. So even though there's a lot of training involved, it's still another full-time person around here for a relatively modest cost, all things considered. Nevertheless, right now, we're not sure if we can really swing that, and so the council recommendation, unless the congregation feels differently and frankly is able to rise up financially differently, is to put the internship on hold for at least a year here at Zion. So I hope that explains kind of how things go. Intern Ron will most certainly be with us until his ending internship date in the middle of August, so he's not going anywhere, and we believe we've got money through the foundation to fund that, to finish that out. But that's how the internship program is funded, and that's how the internship program works. So thanks for tuning in to this series. There might be additional modules to this series added at the future. I can't say for sure, but these were a few highlights that I kind of sketched out that I thought might be of interest to you. And again, I'm not a financial planner, I'm not a financial genius, I can't even draw very neatly, but hopefully this kind of explains a little bit of how the finances work at Zion. And please don't forget that we looked at the assets in that first video, and we talked about property assets, and we talked about cash and savings, checking and savings, that sort of thing, and we talked about the investments that we have, but the real assets that we have at Zion are the people, like yourself, and also, most importantly of all, the treasure of the gospel. That is what makes it all worthwhile. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your part in this ministry, and may the Lord deeply and richly continue to bless you. In Jesus' name, amen.